Hello everyone. Welcome to the solution of LeetCode problem 128 named longest consecutive sequence. In this problem, we are given an unsorted array of integers and we have to return the length of the longest consecutive elements sequence. And we must write the algorithm that runs in big O and runtime. Suppose in the first example, the array contains 6 elements, which is 100, 4, 200, 1, 3, and 2. So here, the longest consecutive element sequence is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So therefore, its length is 4 in this problem, or in this test case, we have to return 4. Now, in the second example, the array contains several elements, and here, all of the elements from 0 to 8 are present. That's why the length of the longest subsequence or the longest sequence will be 9. So in this problem, we have to return 9. Here, the constraint are the array length can be in between 0 to 10 to the power 5, and each of the array element can be in between minus 10 to the power 9 to positive 10 to the power 9. I hope you understood the problem statement. Now let's move on to the algorithm. Now, for the sake of simplicity, we have taken the first example. Here, array contains 6 elements, which is 100, 4, 200, 1, 3, and 2. Now, let's at first try to solve this problem by using the sorting function. Here, if we sort this array, the array will become 1, 2, 3, 4, 100, and 200. So now, we have clearly seen that there are 4 consecutive sequences. One is this 1 to 4, another is 100, another is 200. Now, so obviously there are length of 4, 1 and 1. So the maximum length will be 4. So in this problem, we have to return 4 for this test case. So if we apply the sorting function, the time complexity will become big O of n log n. But in the problem statement, we are recommended to solve this problem in big O of n runtime. So how can we solve this problem by using big O of n runtime? Now, let's try to analyze some of the pattern. Here, if we consider all of the number in an imaginary number line, then there should be something like this. So here, in this number line, the number 1 to 4 is present, the number 100 is present, and the number 200 is also present. So our first goal of this problem is to try to find the starting position of each of the sequence. So here, the starting positions of each of the sequence will be 1, 100, and 200, which is these positions, and these positions. So now, if in somehow we find the starting positions of our given sequence, then we can simply check whether the next subsequent value is presented on the input array or not. So how can we find the starting point? Suppose let's take the advantage of the set data structure. Here, at first we have to insert all of the element in the input array into the set. Now, let's try to understand that if element is the starting position of any subsequence, if and only if the previous element is absent on the set. Suppose we consider the element 1 as the starting position. That means the element 0 should be absent into the set. So here in this sequence, the element 0 is missing. So we can consider the element 1 will be one of the starting positions. Now similarly, for this element 100, element 99 is not presented here. So here it is one of the starting position. Similarly, for this element 200, element 199, which is the previous element, it is not presented here. That's why we can say that it is one possible starting position. Now suppose the element 3 cannot become the starting position of any sequence because it has the previous element 2 already presented here. Similarly, element 2 cannot become one of the starting position of a sequence because element 1 is presented here. So now the algorithm is pretty simple. At first, we have to insert all of the array element into the set. And now we have to check whether for each of the element, if the previous element is absent on the set or not. If the previous element is absent on the set, that means those corresponding elements will be the starting position of any of the consecutive sequence. In those kind of cases, we have to simply check whether their next consecutive element are presented in the corresponding set or not. If it is, that means we have to upgrade our answer accordingly. Suppose here the 1 is presented. So we have to check whether 2, 3, 4 is presented in the corresponding input or not. Yes, it is presented. So here the output will be 4. Similarly, 100 is another starting point, but it does not have any other subsequent value into the input. So here the output will be 1. And here 200 is another starting point, but it also does not have any other subsequent value. So here the length of this sequence is 1. So maximum among all of these 4, 1 and 1 will be 4. So in this problem, we have to return 4. I hope you understood the algorithm. Now let's move on to the code. In this problem, the code is pretty simple. At first, we have to insert all of the element in the input array into the set. Now initialize a variable answer with 0. Now we have to iterate each of the element into the set. And currently we have to check whether for any of the element, if the previous element is absent on the set or not. If the previous element is absent on the set, that means those corresponding element is the starting position of any sequence. So here the initial length will be 1, which consider those specific element. Now we have to check whether the subsequent element is presented in the set or not. If it is, that means we have to upgrade the length. And accordingly, we have to upgrade our answer. Finally, we have to return the answer. I hope you understood the code. Now let's move on to the time and space complexity analysis of this program. In this program, the time complexity is big O of n because we have to iterate each of the element into the corresponding input, and the space complexity is also big O of n because we have to store each of the element into the set, and in the worst case, the size of the set can be equal to the size of the input array. That's why the space complexity is big O of n. Thank you everyone for watching this video. We will get back soon with another LeetCode solution.